over to Helen Gorsky, Assistant Head, Chillingham Road Primary School, to talk about creative connections during COVID. I believe each of you have 7 minutes.
As Liz introduced me, I'm a primary school teacher, and my presentation is a narrative account without data of working with the children in my school after the first lockdown, and it's a demonstration of our COVID recovery journey. So here you can see some of my class. So I teach 8 and 9-year-olds, and this was when they returned after lockdown 1, and there was a mix of emotions. There was a lot of needs. They needed to be normal. They needed to see their friends. They wanted to play. They desperately needed to be back in a routine, and they needed to learn with teachers, not parents. And they spoke quite a lot about all those things. There was also quite a high level of anxiety. They expressed anxiety about being behind, about how it was going to be getting physically close to people, particularly those children who are only children who'd really only seen their parents for a long time. Some were really anxious about being away from their parents and the separation. A lot were anxious about the work and would they keep up, and a lot were really worried about how things were going to be different to how they'd been before. So I set about trying to deal with that anxiety and meet those needs in a number of ways. So the first thing is, sorry, this isn't a very good picture because the flash has caught the light, but in the classroom I have this little emoji board, and each of the children's names are on a little card, and whenever they feel the need they can place their name on one of the emotions, and it's a really good way to just let me know how they're feeling. And they used it a lot in September, October, and also in March when they returned from lockdown 2. And if somebody was to put their name on sad or worried or scared or grumpy, that's just a little hint that they might want to have a one-to-one conversation with me about something that's going on with them. So it's quite useful. I also take about 20 minutes every day for a lesson time called connection time. So through the time, the autumn term, the themes that we used, you can see on the screen, and we began with belonging because we felt it was really important to try and rebuild our school community, and in particular our little class. And we started with this book as a theme that you can see there, which is a textless picture book, and each double-page spread looks out of a window, and it tells a story of time passing, looking out of the window. And we thought that was a really suitable choice because a lot of children had spent a lot of time looking out of the window and being a bit trapped in their houses. So just to let you know the kind of work that goes on in connection time, there's just a quick overview for the week on the theme of belonging. So it might be a poem that we might listen to and have a go at saying together, a story. So there's an Aesop fable that I read them and then we discussed things. We might do a bit of baking as something that we do together. We mix together to do something. Might sing a song, and we might do a bit of art or something. So we each decorated a bit of a jigsaw and put it all together so that to make one big jigsaw. We thought a lot about what does belonging mean, and different definitions. These are things that the children said. And everybody tried to answer these questions. And it was a way of articulating some of their worries that they'd come in with and trying to bring us all back together again. So here's another example of some work. The sort of things that kids say, you can be my friend if, you'll always be my friend as long as. So we were quite isolated because the children aren't able to mix with other children. So we're always on our own in the class, and even in the yard, even at dinner time, we're not having assemblies or anything like that. So we needed to really feel safe with each other and work on our friendships and things. And that's the sort of thing we did to start with. Then in autumn B, the second half of the autumn term, what's on the screen now is a message I sent out to my parents of the class. We used Facebook quite a lot for messaging, and also another digital platform called Seesaw. So I joined with Northumbria University under Dr. Kay Hepperwhite, the senior lecturer, a group of second-year students doing performing arts and theatre. They were supposed to be working on community theatre, and they normally work with the live theatre and small community companies, but none of this work was available for them. So we decided to try and work together, and we began by establishing pen pals between the children and the students. We exchanged photographs, and we sort of got to know each other a bit. And then the idea was that we took the theme of Black Lives Matter, that was a jointly decided theme, and decided that together we would develop drama activities. I was running a drama club with the children, and the students were sending me activities which I could then trial with the children and then feedback. So it was a sort of two-way system we had going. So I sent little pictures. There's my children in their classroom, or most of them. And there's some of the students. And then these are the sort of letters that they sent to us. And that was a lovely thing, actually, because I think it was really good for the students, all about sort of 1920, to get a connection with children who were 8 and 9. And similarly for my children to try and understand what students did and what would you do at university if you were studying drama and things. There's quite a lot of learning on both sides. So we began the drama club, and apologies for the photographs, but I didn't know I was going to be using them for something like this, so they're not very high standard. But just a couple of examples of games. So this one you can see here, they're playing Pass the Face, where one partner would try and show an emotion on their face, and then they would take their face off as if they're taking off a mask and pass it to their partner, who would then put it on, and they'd try and echo the emotion. It was good for talking about how we read emotions and how we can see how people are feeling. The other one mentioned there, Step Forward If. Now, in this one, the children stood in a long line, and I called out things like, step forward if anyone has ever said you've got a funny sounding name, or step forward if anyone laughed at you because you speak another language, or step forward if anyone made a rude comment about your hair. And after a bit, we said, take a look around, let's see where everybody is. Did anybody want to share? And we talked about some of those feelings when people made those sort of comments and how we felt about it and how it wasn't a good thing to say. Here's another activity suggested by one of the students called Flashback, Flash Forward. So in this one, we took the school playground as a setting, and the children were in groups, and the first child took up the position as if they were being bullied, and then one by one the rest of the group stepped in and added the tableau, and they then froze, and I asked each child what they were thinking. And then when I clapped, they had to move in slow motion to where the characters had been a few moments before, where they thought what they thought led up to this. Then we clapped back to the present, and then we clapped and we flashed forward into the future. And it was a great suggestion from the students, because it was a great way to think about how bad things can happen in the playground, and how could we have avoided what happened, and what things can we do to solve them. And it led to a really great discussion after the scenes were played out. Here's another suggestion.
Just 1 minute left, Helen.
Okay, not long to go. So this was another suggestion, which is really getting children to think about what did they consider showed respect and what showed disrespect. And there's just some examples of their acting that showed that. And then we moved on, as my children got a bit more experience with improvising and things, we moved on, and we had to go at acting out these kind of scenarios, which were really quite close to experiences they might have had in school, things that might have happened, and it led again to a lot of discussion, thinking about things. And there's a bit of an example there. So to summarize, this is just a story of what I did. There's no research, there's no data, but it was a really satisfactory response to a difficult situation. And it did enable a group of young children, and I think probably the students too, to talk about their emotions in a non-pathologizing way. Just how do they feel and what could we do about it? And the connection time sessions and the collaboration with the university was a great learning opportunity for us, and we had a lot of fun. So something positive came out of the crisis for us. Thank you.